Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us again. We apologize there earlier. We had started our broadcast, but we had a bit of a technical hitch, so I will start again. And we had started looking at the headlines this morning, and we were on that story of Sonko, and now he is in court and is trying to plead his case, and he's saying the reason why he does not want to sign off that money to go to NMS, he's saying that one, NMS was not vetted by Parliament, and while he was signing that agreement between him and NMS at State House, I don't know if he cared much that NMS was not voted by Parliament. So he's saying NMS was not voted by Parliament, and of course maybe he's forgetting Badi is from the army, and the head of who is the leader of the army in this country, that is Commander-in-Chief, President Kenyatta. So I don't know how he expected, I don't know how he thought that will work out, but the rest had given their thoughts on that. So I'd like to get your thoughts, Javan, since you're joining us. And of course, I'm with Javan Karanja, Douglas, Kirimi, and as well as Daniel Wesonga from Nairobi. But Javan, go ahead and Sonko did not realize that money follows function.
Yeah, Miriam, and from the look of things, you cannot sign an MOU, then you come back to try to revert it back. And you say that when you signed, you are not in your right mind of sense. That is something that is not quite acceptable, because when you are signing, that is the first step that you should have taken to take these people to the parliament. So therefore, that is a failure on his side. And that is something that we have been having in this country, where we have a cabinet secretary. They wait until they are fired. Then that is when they come to tell us that they were denied functions, they were denied powers to carry out their functions properly. Therefore, that is a failure from the governor. And Miriam, he was given some functions. These functions are not taken wholly. He was given there were some functions that he was left with, like that of looking at the small things in the county government. But this was an MOU and he signed. Therefore, he has no powers now to tell us. The best they can do is to sit down with the president and the leader of an NMS, General Mohammed Badi, so that they come up back with a new sign of agreement. But from now, Badi and the president are still working on course to ensure that the residents of Nairobi are getting services. And on this issue, Miriam, the governor, to some point, he was failing the people of Nairobi, and I think that is why. And they had these quarrels with the MCAs, and that is where the intervention came from. Therefore, this intervention was for the better part of people who lives in Nairobi and the entire country, because that is the hub and the center of all things that we have in this country in terms of the headquarters of big offices, treasury, and so on. Therefore, is a very important, is a core of this country. Therefore, when services are not running well there, then every counties have a reason to be worried. And when we have the NMS in service, we see development coming to the people of Nairobi. And if the developments are coming, then that is what the people of Nairobi, they care less who is in the leadership, but who gives them the service that they need. Absolutely. And the issue of using military officers to carry out these functions, Miriam, we have seen them rehabilitate the railway lines. We have seen them in a service, and these people are quite disciplined, and therefore he should not blame on the title of the person because he comes from the military that he will not deliver. At the end of the day, this country, we have the army that we trust. They carry out more functions. They protect us from external attacks. Therefore, these are people who work well to take this country to the next level. And we have seen that manifest when they are given functions to carry out outside of their regular duties, and they do it perfectly. Therefore, at the end of the day, we feel as Kenyans, we need to add more military officers into our system so that things can start running properly. Because these people are not quite corrupt as other members of society. And I feel like in future, we need to have a system whereby the training that these people get, the military officers, because they are proved to be people who are quite disciplined, that I feel like the young people who are we go back to the old days when before they go to the university, they should go and have those training at at Gilgil there.
All right.
We go back there so that we have trained people around, because I feel like if Waititu and Sonko had such kind of training, maybe they could have behaved a bit well, and to carry services to take services down to the people who elected them.
Very well. And you know, we have very short time, so I'd like for us to just give short comments there, because we have so much we need to look at, and we also have the show we usually have on Tuesday there at 11 with our Zimbabwean counterparts. So I'm just making a plea there. So of course, one of the key things there that Sonko is saying is that President Uhuru, the militarization of the city by Badi, who walks around in military uniform, he does not like that. I think also that maybe he's threatened when he sees Badi walking around in military. And when you see Badi walking around with a military uniform, people understand. You just see that and you realize this is time for me to just get on the line and do what I'm supposed to be doing, because you see discipline, you see authority. He does not even need to say anything. He's automatically respected, and people understand that we have to work. And so Sonko seems to be threatened by that. But even as he is faulting President Uhuru Kenyatta for his love for the military, yesterday President Uhuru Kenyatta was leading another function at the Bomas of Kenya, and where he had young people there, and President Uhuru Kenyatta, as the Standard newspaper puts it here on page 7, Uhuru's love affair with the military. So Sonko, you are in for a very long run, President Uhuru Kenyatta. This is something that he's saying, I will continue working with the military. And let's see President Uhuru Kenyatta's reasons. Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has confessed his love affair with the military and urged Kenyans to emulate their discipline and integrity. So those are two key things that President Uhuru Kenyatta, has been depending on, or when he goes out there to seek for a military man, he knows, at least I'm going to get these two things: a person who is disciplined and a person who has integrity, which we cannot say, especially for a political class. While inaugurating the National Youth Dialogue Initiative dubbed Kenya ni Mimi at the Bomas of Kenya yesterday, Uhuru said the military men and women had the requisite discipline which should be emulated. He said the military had acquitted itself well on all the assignments, including the rehabilitation of Kisumu port, restoring order in Nairobi city, and rehabilitation of the old railway network. He urged the youth to seize the moment, take control of their destiny in all spheres, and offer themselves for leadership and oversight of the government. So he's saying, if not for anything, but the reason why I go for these military people is, number one, they have integrity. Number two, they're disciplined, and the other one, they're not corrupt. Daniel, is President Uhuru Kenyatta right by saying these things, and why he's justifying his Standard is calling it the love affair, but we've seen he loves to work with the military.
Miriam, on this one, I will let Kenyans to see the results for themselves. For 2 years, Sonko walked around in the city council askari uniform and the newspaper.
That is true. That is very true.
Yes, and instead of bringing the county to eminence, it sank deeper and deeper into the dungeon of evil. And Badi has come in less than a year in the military fatigue uniform, and we have seen impressive results and quite commendable job being done. So when you look at that kind of scenario, is where we say the end justifies the means. And if the military can deliver because the military men are disciplined, they are men of high integrity and are committed to timelines, then so be it. Let them be able to offer services. And the president yesterday even said the Kisumu, the Nairobi Naivasha Kisumu Railway is being rehabilitated by the NYS and the military, and he believes that they will be able to deliver in due time, and they'll do a very diligent and competent job. So I see no problem with that. At the end of the day, as Douglas and Javan had said earlier, it doesn't matter who is completing the job. Whatever is there is that let Kenyans get the results and we get value for their money. So long as we are getting good success, we are good at that period.
Okay, Douglas, he seems to have chuckled. I did too, because Daniel has reminded us. Also, Sonko loves some form of uniform, and he's been donning that. In fact, it's one of his profile photos there. He's donning that uniform. I didn't realize it's for the county askaris. Is it? I don't know, but he does have something resembling a sort of uniform there. Douglas, the President Uhuru Kenyatta's love affair with the military. Is it justified?
You know, my good friend Sean has reminded me something very interesting about Governor Sonko, and he is the commander in chief of city county askaris, and he's been moving around for 2 years. He didn't scare any cartel. What we are seeing with General Mohammed Abdallah Badi is that he's been able to scare rad grabbers. One day he walked with that military fatigue in Westlands, where there was a very notorious rad grabber from Northeastern, very connected with a very top government official. He had to reclaim that land and said, if you come here again, you should be arrested immediately. And he gave orders. He said, if you're not arrested, I will come arrest you myself. So when he gave that order, was very respected. The only thing we have seen Sonko do with his own county council fatigues is to go and scare Okas around, and the Okas could not even fear him. What I think the president is doing is that he abhors corruption. And there are so many people in government, especially Sonko, who are so corrupt that they could not be able to deliver to the people of Nairobi. Under Jubilee ticket, he has embarrassed the president's party that he rode to power, the ruling party, which is Jubilee. So I think the president also, we saw the report from CS Matiang'i from KMC, Kenya Meat Commission. We've seen an increased revenue and also proper utilization of funds from the military. Sean has also highlighted about the railway and also the railway from Nairobi to Nanyuki. It was done by the military with the military precision, and these people could be able to do that without stealing public funds like Honorable Mike Sonko. Mike Sonko stole over 357 million Kenya shillings, Miriam. It is in public domain, and we don't want that. If we need people, even in Meru here, we are saying, if we can have Meru Metropolitan Services to take over, if the governor is corrupt, he should go to jail. Then we can have another NMS and a man who has military fatigues that can scare cartels and people steal public funds. So one of the issue that I took from President Uhuru Kenyatta when he said about his military love affair, when he talked about integrity, he knows that these people cannot be able to steal. He knows that these people are disciplined enough to be able to protect the funds for the for country and also for God. As I conclude on this point, if Sonko is being scared by General Bad, we are asking President to add more military people in Nairobi so that they can scare the son of Kibanguri away to his Hills home or Shimo Ratawa, so that Nairobi can experience true development. And also, Nairobians don't care if Governor General Mohammed Abdallah Badi is in military fatigue. What they care is water in slums. What they care is tarmac. What they care is hospitals. And Miriam, including, you have a testimony yourself. You have said where you come, you live in your residence.
It's absolutely beautiful right now. They fixed the drainage system. They put the nice curb on top there. It's lovely. My neighborhood is.
So Miriam, as we conclude on this point, we don't care. Today you have street lighting, you have a good cabro and also tarmac, and you don't care whether that man comes in fatigues or not. What we care is that it has been able to scare corruption from Nairobi County and also chase away Sonko from City Hall because he has been so corrupt. Actually, he has stolen over 357 million shillings that he should return to the people of Nairobi before he goes to prison.
All right, very well. Javan, they're one of the key things that Sonko is arguing. President Uhuru Kenyatta loves the military, and he's also scared of Badi walking around in his military uniform there. That really must scare Sonko away. And Daniel has reminded us that the kind of uniform, Sonko seems to love uniform, just not the military one. That scares him off. But now President Uhuru Kenyatta has said the reason why he's using the military to help him out, especially in realizing his Big Four agenda, is because, as we have seen in the past, even a lot of his cabinet secretaries, remember at some point it was divided in halves. There were a lot of wrangles even in the cabinet there. And so they are the people who are supposed to be implementing these agendas by the government, but they were failing to do that. So he got tired of the politics. He got tired of the partisan, how people are doing their things. So he decided, I'll work with the military because they hear, they don't speak back a lot, and unless it makes sense, and they're disciplined, and they have integrity, and they're not corrupt. So he's saying, if that is so wrong, but they're able to deliver to Kenyans, that's all I care. So these other politics around it, I really don't care much about it. Is President Uhuru Kenyatta justified to be using the military to carry out some of these important things that he wants to accomplish for Kenyans? Javan?
Yes, Miriam, Javan is out the panel due to maybe connecting. But I'll come in. I think, Miriam, country, especially with the inception of the BBI.
Go ahead. Okay, we seem to be having a problem there with Besonga's signal there, but very well, we've talked about that. So perhaps you just move into the next article, and that is Raila now answers Ruto on multiple choice referendum, and I think that is a story we shall look at later. CJ's final pitch as clock ticks to Friday. We know Chief Justice David Maraga will be going to his terminal leave that leads to his retirement on Friday. So yesterday, Chief Justice David Maraga made his final appeal to President Uhuru to appoint 41 judges to the bench and asked Parliament to allocate more funds to judiciary as he began his last week in office there. And Maraga, I doubt if he is even retiring, a very happy man, because during his time we've seen a lot of things happen in the judiciary there. Matter of fact, he set a precedence in this continent when he nullified President Uhuru Kenyatta's election and win, and then of course we were able to go to another election and President Uhuru Kenyatta won. And so a lot of things has happened, and I think, Douglas, from where you see it, where you stand on how you see it, Chief Justice will leave the judiciary with his head up, or what do you think is happening now? What do you think his thought process is right now? Is he proud of the work that he's done in the Kenyan judiciary?
Miriam, the jury is not for the Chief Justice to keep his head high or how it is for us Kenyans to see what work he has been able to do. It is for us Kenyans to be able to compare him and see the former Chief Justice, what he did, and the new constitution, Chief Justice Willy Mutunga, and the others who have been Chief Justices in the country. What, Miriam, we have seen is a leader, a president of the judiciary who has been crying and also begging and also demanding for a higher this bench, whereas the judiciary has been suffering cash crunches here and there. We've been treated to a drama king who has delayed the justice system in this country. And Miriam, like I said before, I have no kind words for Chief Justice David Maraga. We have seen, Miriam, people under this constitution, people who can buy justice from the courts, people who steal chicken can be able to be sent to Shimoratewa, people like Governor Mike Sonko are roaming around after stealing 357 million Kenya shillings. Miriam, we have seen people who have stolen monies from Busia everywhere. People, Ojamong was taken to court, he has not resigned, he has not been jailed. People have stolen under the regime of Chief Justice David Maraga. Is a man that I have no kind words for, Miriam. Poor people are being jailed every day, including with this COVID. But the other day, Miriam, we're having a conversation here on the panel where the Deputy Chief Justice, DCJ Muiru, was asking that his read counsel so that the court process can be able to be subverted and also be delayed so that Dr. John Amima can be able to come up, because COVID has also brought health issues on his end. They could allow such things to happen, Miriam. So as he goes on a terminal leave on Friday, I don't wish him well in his future endeavors. He can go on with his life. He has not done anything proper for Kenya. Overturning a presidential election is not a heroic act, Miriam. There's nothing much about it. We cannot write anything home about it. What he has done at judiciary, he has run down the judiciary. He has not been able to deliver well as we expected as Kenyans, because, Miriam, we have problems with the judicial system in this country. The corruption that we see permitting in this government, people who steal funds, people who stole from Kimwaren and Arol, people who stole from Haida in Ukambani and Tharaka-Nithi, people who stole a lot of money, Miriam, are roaming around and also driving Porsche cars in this country, courtesy of the judiciary led by Chief Justice David Maraga. And in this regard, Miriam, it is the same man who would overturn a presidential election, also putting in mind that poor Kenyans are not receiving justice from the judiciary. And also, Miriam, we have seen a laxity from his judges and also a raft of issues that we accuse him of. And we accuse him fairly because the jury should be out here for us to be able to judge and also judge the card from what he has been able to do. He has been able to build a few courts here and there, but that is his duty. That is why he's given a budget. And Miriam, one of the things that we shall not remember him for is the overturning of a presidential election. He gave us a shambolic ruling. It was very fast, Miriam, and also overturning a presidential election is not a mere feat, Miriam, including in the US today when Donald Trump, the leader of the free world, when he's trying to talk about fraud, there's nothing has been taken to court. Nobody is trying to overturn an election. So he has been an activist, Miriam. And when Kenyans of promotions of life, when Kenyans can be able to give them the right to score, my own score will be on this, Miriam. The Chief Justice has been able to, has failed the poor people of this country who has been able to appear before him for justice and his judges. The Chief Justice has been able to fail Kenyans of right mind like me who can be able to see the hypocrisy in the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, Miriam, and I have no guidance for that man.
All right, very well. Daniel, even as we look at the topic of the day, because I'd like us to conclude in the next very few minutes, perhaps your last submissions. Chief Justice is retiring on Friday, going to a terminal ill to leave, and then he will retire. He's not coming back to the judiciary there. And so leave. So when you look at how the judiciary has been especially handling corruption, I don't know what will be your scorecard. And perhaps we will have a proper conversation about this on Friday when Chief Justice Maraga will be having his last day in office. Maybe we'll have that in depth. But when you look at corruption and the fight against corruption and where judiciary stands and its contribution or lack thereof, the fight against corruption, do you think the Chief Justice perhaps will be leaving the office with his head lifted high?
Miriam, first and foremost, let me take this opportunity to agree entirely with the sentiments that have been projected by my good friend Askrimi, that David Maraga goes down the trenches of history as one of the most lethargic, one of the most incompetent Chief Justice that we ever had. And he will be remembered as a man who took most of his time fighting the executive, very unnecessary wars, demanding, putting on the table very unrealistic demands like wanting a Mercedes-Benz and wanting the president to assent to a list of judges which were confirmed by the state agencies, the intelligence agencies, to be so quite corrupt. And therefore, Miriam, it tells you that at the center of the judiciary exists a man who has been able to combat corruption in the judiciary. He has been unable to bring to place, and that is something he has himself confirmed, that he has been unable to deliver on the key mandate that he was entrusted with, and especially in terms of putting up structures that will ensure fast, efficient, and quite timely provision of justice and other judicial services to the people of Kenya. And that one, I think, really eats deep into his reputation of his tenure at the helm of the judiciary. And I believe for most Kenyans will remember Maraga for the decision that he made in 2017 of nullifying a presidential election. However, at the backdrop of it, he has never brought those who were found culpable of subverting that particular election, the IBC commissioners, the leadership of the IBC, to account. So therefore, it tells you that that was a fraudulent nullification of an election because they have never brought any suspect to book in regards to that particular election. So he has failed Kenyan in that. He wasted our taxpayers' money in conducting a new, fresh election, which was boycotted by the opposition. And therefore, next, we have seen the kind of fights he has been having with the head of state, which I believe is not something which is quite good. It does not paint the government of the day in a very, very good light. It gives a very bleak picture of a government which is not in coordination. And world over, Miriam, I can ascertain to you that even in the Middle East, where we perceive democracy to be something which is not quite vibrant, even in the US, in Britain, a chief justice will always work hand in hand, or rather in a cordial way, with the executive of the day, because for a government of the day, which is here in Kenya, three arms of the government, they have to deliver on the mandate of the party and the president that came to power to work for the people. And therefore, if you do not have a very good working condition between the arm of the government, be it the National Assembly, be it the judiciary, be it the executive, then it fails to achieve its agenda. And that is what the Chief Justice has been doing. We've seen so many progressive bills which have been taken to court and the courts have overturned it. But however, Miriam, also I would really like to commend some few good apples which are within the precincts of the judiciary. We've seen the good work that has been done by this Lady Justice Mumbi Ngugi. We've seen good judges, magistrates like Ogoti, who is in the anti-corruption court. We've seen the good magistrates like Justice Juma, who was able to sit on the bench that decided the fate of Waluke and his co-accused Wahungu. So amid all these peril and diminishing reputation of the judiciary, we actually do have some good judges, judges who can redeem the faith of Kenyans in the judiciary. Okay. And we believe that the next Chief Justice will be able to bring even more much bigger reforms in the corridors of justice. But for Maraga, we wish him well. We will not remember him for much.
Okay, very well. Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you so much there, Douglas, and also Javan. And of course, Chief Justice will be having his last day in office on Friday, so we shall have an in-depth look at Chief Justice David Maraga's legacy, perhaps in the judiciary the last couple of years, and we see what will be the public's verdict on how he has performed in terms of heading Kenya's judiciary. This has been Good Morning Africa show. My name is Miriam Butu. We will be back here at 11, where we shall be looking at another topic that cuts across the continent of Africa. Thank you so much for watching. Good morning.